Hello, and welcome to episode number 33 of Dark Sauce 2, Scholars of Harvest Valley Ranch. I'm your host, Niko, they, them, and I'm joined as always by Peregrine, they, them.
I just want to say thanks again, Niko, for agreeing this episode not to die at all, because I'm as tired as I've ever been, and really looking forward to just a nice, relaxing evening of not having to do any push-ups.
I'll try and keep my promise. We also have Mo, he, him.
Hey, I hope that we go back to the Smelter Demon ASAP, because Peregrine does push-ups when Niko dies to the Smelter Demon.
That's true. And finally, we've got Sparkletone, they, them.
Hi, so the SGDQ run, all bosses, was about, including the DLC, was about 2.5 hours, a little over, so looking forward to just doing the whole game, just right now.
Yeah, just one episode, you know.
Yep.
NBD.
No deaths, one episode. Perfect.
Wow.
Easy, breezy, beautiful.
So yeah, so last time, we had a bit of fun with Mr. Smelter Demon.
My notes for last time just say 2 hours of Blue Smelter.
Which, like,
please.
I feel like
Demon was my
I've
father.
downloaded that fight at this point, but I also...
Well,
I
it is
think-
DLC, so...
Yes, I think that it might be worth like going and doing something else for a little while.
Yeah, we got some elevators we can ride. Let's
There are other types of sauces we could discuss.
Yeah.
salad cream. Well,
If this was Dragon's Dogma, you would be able to marry the Blue Smelter Demon.
Well,
what a good
It's not.
video game.
Is that... Tell me more.
That's it.
If you can't
thing.
beat him,
Souls.
join him
What?
in matrimony. That's the...
Niko may
What
have.
did you say, Ali?
Niko, back out of the menu, please, Niko.
what?
I
Oh, that's
forgot
right, 'cause
about the last episode.
I'm pretty sure it's 0. Yeah, it's 0.
No, it's definitely 0. It. Don't go to the challenge cave. Go to the third one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember roughly where there were areas to go to from here, so I'll try and find it first, and if I'm lost, then I'll let you know.
Well, it's just
God,
down an elevator from here and run around, and you'll find stuff.
it says so much about where my head was at last week that I do not remember anything about why we have 0 souls on that cliff. I've just blocked everything out.
So the curse fog being in here should tell you something.
Yeah, I'm just gonna take care of this guy first. Whoops.
Also remember that it's okay to run around in here. 1000% do not use a wedge in here. You will be
Okay.
very sad, and I will laugh my ass off.
Wait. Why would you warn them to...
Because Niko was warned last time, and in the interest
Oh.
of the show, I do not want to make.
Now wait a second. I remember. That looks like a death. Niko, is there?
Yeah, I lied.
It's certainly just a.
Peregrine made a
Happens, it
request,
happens.
and you're not honoring it, and that's very rude.
I had
Well, you know, I asked Peregrine to not sing all the time, and they don't honor that one, so...
Yeah, that's true.
In like 3 weeks.
but yeah,
I don't think that's true, first of all.
I had a moral dilemma a couple weeks ago and decided, in the interest of the show, to prevent Niko from doing something incredibly funny but very bad for us.
Did they just forget about me?
Yeah, they don't like coming up here.
This is understandable.
They prefer to take the elevator.
Who doesn't?
Oops.
Honestly.
Bro.
I feel like my mic is lower. You like I can always edit
You sound
the
I
audio.
hear
goes-
you. I can hear you pretty well.
Okay, that's all I wanted to make sure. So. Great. So far, I've gotten 2 items that I didn't need. Oh, there's a door. I'm dead.
Again.
So I don't know if you spotted the glow coming through the like the door crack.
The
there.
door. I also heard the weird whispering.
Yeah,
noises and
that's
stuff.
where the idol is. Just
Okay. Is there anything worth going in there for? It seems pointless to this
it's an
point.
idol, but we can't do that right now for
Yeah.
reasons that you will discover if we don't spend the rest of the episode at the Smelter Demon.
Okay.
I really like the way this lower area, part of the area, looks, though. Like the elevators being like these big statue things, and there's like some more of them hanging down there is all really cool.
Okay, so this was where I got the tower key from. I've been here.
Yep. There might be another item or two out there. I don't think so, but the key is like the only thing that matters over there. Don't feel like taking a jump?
That's
Both of
ominous.
the paths go to pretty much the same place. There's like maybe an item up there, but nothing too important. It lets you shoot that guy from above, though.
Okay, and then I would
there's
drop
there's
down
a
there.
room up there. But we're going down.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Well,
Uh-oh. I'm here now. Well, we'll just go down here. That's fine.
uh-huh.
This is fine.
Just open that door and keep going. Probably not gonna go as well now that his friends are down here, though.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, you can.
Was it worth it?
It was. I mean, I was going to try and fight him, but then Sparkle told me to just leave, so...
Well, either way, the other two dudes were gonna show up, and that was not gonna go well. So, knowing how much health the really large lads have, getting rid of the big boy before the two weaker ones showed up was probably not gonna happen.
Is that what the LL in Cool J stands for?
What?
Large lad?
No, it stands for Ladies Love. Ladies Love Cool
Large
J.
lad Cool J?
Nope.
Okay.
What do you think the J stands for?
Probably his first name.
I'm asking Peregrine.
Jeans.
Jeans.
It's an ad. The whole time it was an ad for Jinkos.
Large lad, cool Jankos.
Now, Ladies Love Cool Jeans seems like a pretty reasonable name for a rapper. I don't...
Ooh, ooh.
Ooh. Oh, my push-up game is weak this week.
Well, I'll just make you do some more then.
Here's what happens when I take a week off and do lunges instead.
Was that a big sip?
Oh, did I just... Sorry, everyone. It was. Some tea? That's the tea.
No, do not.
I actually really enjoyed that. Is what I'm gonna say.
I could go for some matcha right now.
It was cringy, but in a good way.
It's cringy, but the type that will gain subscriber.
Yeah. Okay.
When did that whole thing start? And is it bad? I can't tell.
When did what
the
whole
meme
thing start?
itself is not bad, but the place that it comes from is.
Yeah, like
It is-
I always assumed that the meme was like a joke at the expense of the type of person who would.
Yeah, except now it's
Okay.
wrapped around through that cycle about 3 or 4 times, and
Right. Wrapped around through the cycle 3 or 4 times is, we'll just call it Wagnering, and just
You,
leave all of the implications that has in place.
you put it in a big centrifuge, and what you get after you spin it around is irony poisoning.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
You spin me round.
Yeah, see, like, look
Right
at this,
round,
look at
right
this
round.
area. I mean, be careful
Yeah.
because there's like dudes around, but this looks really cool.
This is pretty cool.
Be careful because there's dudes around is my general advice to people at parties.
I don't know. I bet this nice fellow with a bow and a fiery sword is very nice.
If
in
you
his
if you
time
went to
off.
a party and there was just someone there with a bow and a flaming sword.
This
I would
fucking
wanna
guy
know-
loves Cards Against Humanity, is what I'm gonna say.
Oh, Jesus.
I was gonna say which energy drink sponsored that party, or brand
Bang.
of vodka.
Oh, I don't know very many vodka brands.
I have been to some weird Red Bull parties before. I don't remember any flaming swords, but you know it's probably not for lack of trying on their event planners' parts. Well, I don't know why that didn't hit, but okay.
I guess you do get some iframes just toward the end of the animation.
Yeah, that's. I don't know. I
Hey,
feel like that was
take
maybe
it.
the fact that the sword hit there is like a Rayman guy with no arm and like the hitbox is weird.
No, you got a mosquito on you there. You
That's
might wanna-
I mean that's just gonna be another one of these little blood stains. That's all. That's where I got the other ones.
Ah, yes, one of those rituals of the night.
I used to be a Dark Souls player, and then I took an arrow in the face.
Hmm.
Isn't the
What?
Arrow shows up in chat like all your face are belong to us, like if you laughed out loud.
was that?
You can use them now. Yes.
Mo, did you have a question about my very up to date and timely reference?
Uh-oh. There's another
I'm
one.
happy to explain it to you in painstaking detail.
No, I'm okay. I think. To quote the queen of our lives, I'm happy not knowing.
the bonfire.
Oh,
You're LL okay?
Oh, thank God. I was gonna say, okay, you can die now.
I don't know where I went, but I just teleported somewhere.
I think you went to Majula. You went to Majula.
Okay,
All right.
I just went to the first one in the list.
Just wanted just
Anywhere but here.
No, that's okay.
I'm Hello, Emerald Herald. I just missed you so much.
Yeah, good news. You found the 4 idols that you're allowed to use the wedges on.
So,
Four wedges is how you win at Trivial Pursuit.
Well, it is also how you make this boss fight not, like, the worst thing.
Which boss fight so far has been the worst thing? We've had some pretty bad ones.
I still think the trio, like, the Blue Smelter Demon is tough, but I don't think it's like.
I mean, yeah. To be fair, I think
which is the trio?
Mo, we have
the Brady Bunch, the Hardy Boys, the Hardy Boys in the Cave of Death.
We spent like 2 episodes there, not that long ago.
One of them was
one
Hazard.
where I learned.
Okay, here's
What?
the thing. There's multiple trios in this game.
Yes, but
Right.
there's one that is a bad boss.
Well, it's somebody wearing Havel style, so they're probably a good boss.
No.
Wow.
how it works.
I will say that the fine friend that is on the other side of that fog gate, I think, is a really great fight as long as the idols are gone. And if you show up to this area with only 3 wedges because you used all the ones earlier, it's a bad time.
Ow.
Because, of course, the boss drops the final wedge. Is how that works. My opinion is that the boss is hard enough on their own that they don't need the assistance of some chill healing rays.
The boss is the sports section of Trivial Pursuit. It's
That's
the toughest.
No. Maybe for you.
I thought you were a gamer, Mo. I thought you were one of us.
Sports or games?
Sports or games? As
Wow.
the
That's but
as
also
the
at
latest Waypoint Radio has shown, the NBA is video games, basically. So
ball is life.
go
Life
do
is
some
games.
push-ups.
Therefore,
in conclusion, gosh, it's gonna be so satisfying when I'm playing Hollow Knight and I die and America has to do push-ups.
Right? It's so good.
It's gonna be the best. I'm so excited for what weird shitpost Niko finds because they're not doing the.
You got a little bit of a taste of that when you were like doing some other streams and stuff a few months or so ago, but
The Portal stream. That was definitely. But you just double it up.
Yep.
So aside from Dark Souls, push-ups, and the NBA offseason, what's everybody been playing since we last recorded, which was recently, I guess.
A week ago.
But what's everybody playing?
Judgment and Mario Maker for me. A little bit more Baba Is You, but I'm still in, I guess, the 3rd set of levels. So I feel like that's still pretty early.
Yeah, considering there's like 200 levels. I think that's a little early too.
Yeah, but when I mean I've done like
Oh.
40 or something at this point.
My computer
Because there's like
freezing.
a dozen or more per group.
Shit. No, okay.
Plus the
Thought my
like
computer was
8
freezing.
tutorial ones before the first set.
I kind of crashed out on the tutorials.
Yeah,
They
that's
were
that's
tough.
why we're gonna make you play that game for charity someday. I mean,
You
know,
committed to it.
charity-
It is on tape.
you realize, Mo, that is going to be the most like.
It's not
We're
going to
not
be
tr-
entertaining for anybody.
You're not trapped in the game with us. We are trapped in the game with you. It's going to be like Portal, but worse. For
That's
us,
what-
not
but that's
for you.
what
You're
Portal
gonna be
was.
fine. You're gonna be fine because there is no like, there is no first-person shootery style skill check at any point.
Or there's not. Well, I can't speak to Baba's You because I haven't played it yet. But like, I presume that there is not like a.
It doesn't
turn.
become a Mario Maker Kaizo level at the end
Yeah,
of the game.
and for like the last half of the game is just like not what you want it to be, and is kind of drawn out. And
Let's go
So-
meet a new friend.
I can't wait for the Kaizo Mario adaptation of Baba Is You, which is Baba is Pooh Bear.
I don't know any of the words that you just said.
Grand Pooh
Okay.
Bear is great. Please watch Grand Pooh Bear.
Hey, look, it's
My-
a big sword. Uh-oh.
My question is
Whoa.
more.
Hey, buddy. It's the Fume
oh, it's the
Night.
Fume Night in
You're
the Brume
cool.
Tower.
Ah, Fume Knight.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My favorite Persona character, Fume.
I don't.
If that's Hifume in there, then I have a lot
God
of
damn it.
questions.
I deserve that one. That's. I'm not even gonna complain.
I don't think it's. I don't think that's the word for it, but you know. Do you?
It's more Fume, not like a Fume, you know.
I think it's the fume night.
It's the Fume Night.
Fume night.
Mhm.
The one thing that I know how to pronounce. Apparently.
No.
So, are you gonna?
Alright, I'm just gonna run
stop
past these
trying
things.
to stagger the large lads and
I
get out of the way?
actually.
You're just gonna.
Well, I was trying to roll, but I did not time it correctly. Like I'm not just standing
Okay.
there and taking it like a fool.
Are
I'm
you
actually
sure?
trying to dodge.
Excuse me.
There are.
I didn't do push-ups that last time because I am tired.
There are.
Well, step it up.
There are a couple NPCs you can summon for this fight, but they are useless.
Oh, like always, you mean?
No, I mean even more so than usual. Like, they're not even worth it for the amount of aggro they pull. This boy, when he gets going, he hit hard. And they just kind of can't deal with it at all. However, fighting this person, like, co-op with humans is really fun.
Oh, with Fumins?
Right, because you need to get the social links to beat Fume.
That's how it goes.
Well, that's what I've been playing this last week, by the way. I don't know how much you want to talk about it since we just kind of spent a lot of time on that a couple weeks ago, but I made it a bit further into Persona 5.
Which dungeon are you on?
I'm on the second one,
Okay.
Madarame. So it's
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you
Potential-
finished that one or not.
it is somewhat less fucked than the first one. Although like they already, without like going too into detail about like what the plot is, they like do this thing where there's a person who is like, basically it's Arcolect is the second dungeon of of Persona
Wait, what is-
5.
Oh, this is
Got
such a
him.
good. This is such a good moment for me. Because what is Arcolect?
It is
Oh,
a Twitter
God,
account
Mo.
that posts hashtag aesthetic images and is bad about crediting art. They
An art thief. It's Arcolect is an art thief account.
Yeah, the
or like
person-
a
So
repost
it's like-
account.
the
It's
person
like
who
fuck Jerry, and they're just waiting for their fire festival.
No, the person who runs it refused to, like, for some reason they didn't like the idea of there being text in the tweets. It had to just be the images that their little, like, neural network or whatever chose, from Tumblr. So
Sucks. So
none of
you
the
said
stuff
that so
none of the stuff that they
dismissively, it's
posted
incredible.
never had any credit, and then they eventually caved and started set up
A second.
a second bot that posts the attribution as a reply, but because of the way Twitter works, that's
No one sees that.
that nobody ever sees that, and so it's just as bad as not like posting it with no attribution at all.
Well,
then
and the worst
to,
part is like if you really wanted to have no text in it or whatever, then find images that people have tweeted out and then just fucking retweet them. Like there's already a function for this on Twitter, but no, like
yeah.
So
and then
yeah.
a couple years ago they started a Patreon, so now there's like people who subscribe to it. It's like
Yeah.
It's kind of the same account idea as 41 Strange, but 41 Strange at least makes some nominal attempt to credit things sometimes.
What's
part
the
of
deeper
the
lore?
Internet are you? What?
Twitter.
What's the
Mo?
deeper lore that
The
links
Bird Health
41
site.
Strange with some
What?
41? Is
Like-
there?
What? So give me an example of like an aesthetic hashtag aesthetic thing
Hollow Knight.
Arcolect would post.
Oh.
A still image from Blade Runner.
Arcolect sounds like a villain
fan art,
from
cyberpunk
Halo.
fan art that somebody drew, somebody that like could use the attention that an account with as many followers as Arcolect like can send their way. Like
Arcolect is like the
Fair.
Moriarty,
I'm
Like
glad-
Moriarty to
Cyberpunk.
Calcutech.
Like, I'm glad, Mo, that you live a sheltered enough existence in terms of, like, bird
Like,
website
so-
nonsense that you have no idea what we're talking
Here's-
about. But, like,
here's
we don't
my-
get to pretend
every
that,
time.
Here's
this
my
is some
question
weird
that
thing.
might sound shitty, but trying to think about the nicest way to phrase this. I'm just gonna make an I statement so I don't ask a rhetorical question, because I feel like a rhetorical question will come off shittier.
Okay.
I have extremely minimal amounts of let's call it emotional energy to spend on people who are drawing cyberpunk fanfic. Maybe that makes me a bad person, but I think
No, but
that
okay, you can at least understand that when an account with 1.4 million followers
Yes,
is
I
stealing
can
other
understand it. You
people's
just
stuff
picked-
and posting it without
yeah. No,
credit,
I get it.
like, come on. This isn't hard.
no, I get it. They're the fat Jew of
Yeah,
video game
like, and it's
zone or whatever.
like sometimes like the images are all sourced from Tumblr, so like the Tumblr has a much better kind of system is giving it too much credit, but Tumblr makes it much easier to post that kind of stuff in attribution. But
Tumblr
Arcolect
makes me log in to view
but
literally anything.
Arcolect strips all that out.
Mhm.
And just post the images because I don't know.
And then it
if
asks
that's-
people to pay them money on Patreon so that way they can keep stealing people's art. Like,
That is the part that I have the most. Not that I don't have an issue with people drawing fan art for shitty games. Probably shitty games. being uncredited. That stinks, but
Oh, that.
I feel like I'm. I feel
Uh-oh.
like I'm.
Oh, that's.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
What am I looking at? I don't even understand.
Oh,
What,
this fight went full anime. That's what happened.
So what's the? We were talking about flaming swords earlier, and just
But
it
what are
wasn't
they-
a competition. I just want to say it wasn't on the spectrum of guys at parties with flaming swords. Flaming swords was already pretty high in the uh-oh area, and this is like beyond.
we're talking about two different things, Peregrine.
I had forgotten that, Peregrine, you hadn't seen this fight before.
No.
Yeah, so, when you piss off Fume Knight enough, he make his sword a big dark damage. And that's why the NPCs are useless. Doing this fight on like NG +2 when I was trying to get the platinum, it took me and 2 other actual humans about half a dozen tries because 2 hits to any of us that was it.
I feel like 2 hits from a sword, regardless of the damage type, would probably not work well for any of us.
Sounds like someone needs to do more push-ups.
Leave that to you.
Well, I could have let
My sword resistance has gone up half a swing since we started.
The problem is in the world of Dark Souls, if you do too many push-ups, you can no longer make friends.
Wow, just cutting where it hurts, huh?
Unless you all know the secret password. Which, wait, this game doesn't even have that. In this game, if you want to co-op with friends, there's not a password system. There's a ring you buy from Shalquar, and you both pick the same option in the ring, which is a really weird sentence.
Yes, my favorite Dark Souls franchise, Swords with Friends.
There's a decoder ring that you pick which deity is your favorite, and if you have that ring on, you will only match with people who chose the same deity as you. So instead of a password system, that's what they did.
Oh, that was lucky.
Oh,
Also,
my God.
Also, hey,
Toho!
it's Toho.
It's real Toho hours right now. Damn. All right, so you want to press X to activate.
Oh fuck!
Spell card.
Yep. I still have been
geez.
thinking about how good of a name Remy Docs is. It's like my favorite.
Oh, it's so good.
That was an
yeah.
exceptional attempt. The one piece of advice I would give is when he's doing the big slow swing, roll through the sword. Like just go through it.
I was panicking a little bit there. So
No, totally. I do the same thing. Like the roll back twice and then he stabs you. That's the one that gets me on this fight.
The one piece of advice I can give you is avoid getting hit.
well,
The
Speaking
one piece of
very
advice
helpful.
I can give you is
Speaking-
believe in your friends.
Oh.
That's all I wanted to say.
Speaking of avoiding getting hit, I've been playing hardcore
John
mecha.
Madden's football. Oh,
I still need to
John
watch,
Madden's hardcore mecha. I would love that.
I still need to watch the stream that Austin did of that game.
Yeah, it's now that I've played past it, I'm gonna watch it. It is a game that I don't know why I like it as much as I do, but I really like it. It's like, so Austin on the latest Waypoint Radio said like, oh, I could play this. He mentioned some, I think it was Final Fantasy 12. It's at the end of his Final Fantasy 14 kind of thing. But he was like, oh, I could just play Final Fantasy 12, or I could just play hardcore mecha. And as someone who is currently like 12 hours into Final Fantasy 12, and the past few nights I've been like, I could play some Final Fantasy 12 as well. or I could just play some hardcore mecha.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how, like, it's, because, like, so Final Fantasy 12, it's like a JRPG ass game, and in a lot of really interesting ways, but it's still like I'm at a place where, like, I need to go. I just finished a big thing, so I need to go and I need to, like, I need to do talking in town and stuff like that. And that stuff is not always super easy to get back into for me, versus, like, you need to just do the next level. So I've been choosing hardcore mecha because it's like you need to do the next level. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. I think I'm almost done with it. But it just has it's like janky as heck, but it's really janky, but in the ways that don't matter so much, if that makes sense. Like, it's like the dialogue is badly translated but endearing, and some of the, like, the hit detection isn't incredible, but once you know how to account for it, it's fine type of stuff. But other than that, it's been, like, a very enjoyable game, aside from, like,
Is the dialogue thing like a intentional trying to, like, kind of make it the bad because that's, like, a stylistic choice, or is it, like, localized?
It's just not. They did not have money for, like, a good localizing situation.
Oh, okay.
I think is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know anything about who made it.
There are some slurs. Not some.
Oof.
There is one. The game drops the R slur in, like, the fourth or fifth level, which sucks.
Yeah.
But it also reads like, given the way the dialogue has been to that point, it reads like people who aren't super facile with English want to make a shocking moment. Like, it's like the really shitty, like I don't know if there's probably a trope for it, like the anime trope of, like, the, like, sociopath kind of loose cannon, like, doesn't care about collateral damage, is just interested in killing kind of mech pilot. Is
Oh,
the
an
one,
Asuka.
That's the person in the game who drops it. So, like, it wasn't. It's still. I'm not. It sucks, but, like, it sucks. But also, there's, like, context that I feel like is.
It's more easily forgiven because it is not used by a character you are otherwise supposed to like.
That, and it's like, it's not. I feel like the thing that is. Yeah, it's not Raz in Valkyria Chronicles 4, who is like, the only. You know, they're Romani and Jewish like, analog character who is like a piece of shit, which is, like, way more complicated than this, like, dude that you're ultimately gonna have to kill being, like, you know, it's like a ham-fisted way to establish a villain, basically, which is, like, yeah, like, I guess, like you said, more acceptable to me than, like, this is something that sucks that someone who's supposed to be a hero is doing.
Well, I mean, that's not all that different than like a lot of the stuff we talked about with the first kind of main villain in Persona, just like invoking a bunch of really triggering themes that like aren't really treated with care, and like sure they make this person clearly seem to be a villain, but maybe there are other ways they could have done it or phrased it in a way that like wasn't inconsiderate of people who maybe that hits a little bit closer to home, right? Like,
Yeah. Totally.
So
I think it's like the broader thing of like the sentiment is understandable, but the game really hasn't earned bringing those terms up with like because the thing with Persona is like that boss hits so early in the game where you don't know if you can trust the game to handle this.
That's actually my biggest issue with that boss is that it's the tutorial boss. Like it's the in Persona.
Oh well, yeah.
I think you're talking about your
that,
game.
Yep.
I don't know.
No, I'm talking about
that.
Persona now. I mean
in
the thing
Persona,
in my game,
it's like the
the thing in Hardcore Mecha is just like it sucks that they used that word basically. Like, but it's you know, it was like it's clearly like a bare bones production company, so I'm more forgiving of it in that sense also because Persona is made by like a hundreds of $million, you know, situation. The thing I would say though is that like it's just the fact that it's like the tutorial it just got me in a way.
I think there is also a certain amount of understanding I'm willing to give to a game where English is not its first language and that they don't necessarily understand that a word is a slur or like I don't know. Maybe this is like not even worth giving them that much benefit of the doubt just because like it's their job to like make sure that they are not using slurs and making their the text of their game, even if it's not the original language, be offensive to other cultures that they translate it into.
100%. I agree with you.
So, like, I get why it happens. That doesn't mean I'm okay with it. But I understand like that is different than like, well, this person like is actively trying to be shitty. So.
And it's also just the scale. Like Persona's a 500. I mean, hundreds of people. Hardcore Mecha is not that. And like, hopefully, the game came out 2 weeks ago or a week ago. Like, hopefully, when it they can edit that line out in the first patch if they've gotten feedback to that effect, which I imagine they have. And I'm gonna be a part of it now that I mentioned that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like another thing that I've been frustrated with this week is the news that there is a anti-union subplot in Super Mario Maker 2's story mode, and one thing in particular that I've been frustrated with is the fact that like I've often seen like a follow-up question is like, well, was that something that was in the original Japanese text or was that added in translation? And like to some extent it's like it doesn't fucking matter, right? Like it is ultimately Nintendo's job to make sure that the product that they are putting out in all languages that they are putting it out in is not shitty. And so like I don't really care if they only put it in English because like whoever was doing the localization like thought it would be funny or whatever it might have been, or if it was in there from the very beginning.
Like I don't know, like.
Paper Mario translate. I mean, I can see when and where that would happen. I also would be surprised if that plot line presented the way it does in English in Japanese, given differences between work culture here in Japan, right? Like, there's definitely going to be some context around that type of narrative that is going to shift that.
Yeah.
I mean, real talk. I went and read like about Japanese labor unions after hearing about that because I realized I actually didn't have that context at all. I didn't know anything about like the state of labor over in Japan.
Well, yeah,
And-
like that's the discussion that's worth having, right? Rather than, as you said, right? Like rather than trying to figure out who to blame for this.
Right.
Why
Because
don't-
at the end of the day, you blame
you
Nintendo.
know?
It doesn't matter if it's a person in Nintendo of America or a Nintendo of Japan. Like, that's the issue I take with it, is it almost feels like it's like, well, it wasn't in the original Japanese version, so we're trying to exonerate this game and still feel good about it. And it's like, no, the translators put it in, they still work for Nintendo. They still did a thing that sucked. So...
And the thing is, too, it's like... Yeah, like, you have to be conscious of the current events in the world when you're doing, like, it's such a throwaway thing. And I don't think that it's so I did some reading on it too, and I don't think it's purely like an anti-union. Like, I think calling it anti-union is maybe a little bit reductive, even though, like, I just think that, like, there are points where it's like it's the management that's bad, and it's just also like, why? It's just more for me. It's like, why? Like, it's,
I mean,
it's
I was
Super Mario Maker. Like, why are you doing a fucking union story? Like, whether you're the anti-union or centrist, or even if you're pro-union, like, unless you're like, you really pull off that pro-union story well, like, the risk reward for like getting into that in Super Mario Maker of all games, where the whole thing is like the reason that game exists and is successful is unpaid labor. Like, that's the game you're gonna step in
I was
this
gonna
fucking
say,
shit
like,
puddle in with?
I'm
Like,
here
what?
for like that narrative told in a way where like it's you know, like you're painting the anti-union boss as a villain, but like the game that is relying on the free labor of all of its players, right? Like, that's not really the that's a bad look, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other instances of video games with, like, dodgy construction companies or workers in them, and the only ones that come to mind are Yakuza games. And I don't think Mario Maker really should have any overlap with the story in those games. Unless they want to put Majima in as, you know, a construction boss. If the song is there about how good and cool Majima's construction company is, then I would consider it.
Oh, another. Okay, here we are. Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Making your flavor.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to necessarily fault them for, like... I think that there's been enough companies out there who are, like, explicitly trying to not say something that, like, I don't want to throw them under the bus necessarily for, like, stepping in it and say, like, oh, well, they just shouldn't try it. Like, Mario should always be Mario saving the princess, and that's it. And, but I do think that there is this, like, general cultural, like, oh, it's time for the union-mandated break type jokes, and it's like, come on. You know, like...
I mean, it's very much like it reads to me the way that a lot of, honestly, writing for like kids programming can be in a bad situation, where there's like a set of kind of canned narratives that you pull from, and they're not taken within a broader context of, say, what Nintendo is being asked in interviews about its labor practices, right? Like, there's... And... like, I doubt management at the level that fields those types of questions from reporters, like, had any conversations with the writers or translators of this game in a way that, I mean, like, I've you know, that's very corporate, right? But it's a problem, right? Like,
Yeah.
in an ideal world, right, everyone would be able to have some sort of like ability to lay eyes on those things and prevent those sorts of situations. But you know, who knows how many people were working on Mario Maker and how much of the time and attention in that game was paid to that particular story. Because I'm pretty sure like every Nickelodeon show I watched as a kid had like union jokes, right? Like it just feels very like 90s era Nick cartoon.
Yeah, I was gonna say like The Simpsons has a ton of them, but they never really come off as like against it there in the ones that I can think of, because they spend so much time making fun of they spend more time making fun of rich people, and so like a throwaway caricature joke of union labor like doesn't land the same.
I think that like especially it's especially insidious when it is tailored for kids, because like it's taking people who are at their most impressionable and it's inserting this association that like the notion of a labor union is a joke, and that's fucking sucks. So I don't know, like I think that in the same way that there's like people who are like, oh, I just tell mildly racist jokes, but I'm not racist, it's fine. Like, no, that's not how that works. And I think that like those sorts of union jokes like fit the same mold for me, especially in an era where it feels like we need them more than ever. We need people to care about them more than ever.
Well, and that's sort of like I'm at a point now where I'm sort of like there's a part of the remember when cartoons were good in the 90s like attitude that I hate, because so much of that repertoire has those lazy racist moments, right? Or like those problematic which like there are a lot of things I do in life where I recognize the sort of like cultural, like I've been raised in that environment, and there are things I've internalized subconsciously, probably in small part due to watching those types of shows so much growing up. And and like it's annoying to like recognize that and then see people like cite that as an era in which things were great and beautiful compared to today, where like no, actually like please stop going back to that well. We can and should move on.
Right.
One of the other thoughts I've had is that from Nintendo, it strikes me as tone deaf in a way that is very them, whereas I think for many other game developers it would come off as sinister. Like in the same year where we have Randy Pitchford airing his grievances in Claptrap DLC, like I don't know, if there was a subplot in the next Naughty Dog game about working
The
people to
stuff
death
Naughty
being
Dog
good
has
for
been
you,
accused
like,
of.
or the even worse stuff than their crunch culture, like that would play a lot worse. Whereas sort of Nintendo, I'm disappointed in, but not like incensed in the same way.
Like, imagine the world in which this wasn't a weird feeling we had because Nintendo was literally the only large gaming company that's not the cartoon villain that Nintendo was joking about, right? Like,
I mean,
it's weird that we can give them a pass because
I think that too many people give them a pass, and there are games from Nintendo that I love, and there are franchises that I have a lot of reverence for, nostalgia for, and whatnot. But like, I think that their feet need to be held to the fire just as much as everyone else. Like, for things like shutting down the Wii Shop and the Miiverse, and like the fact that Super Mario Maker 2 just came out, but they shut down the ability to upload levels for Super Mario Maker 1 like a year ago, and there's this like implicit notion that you're like buying into a game that's going to be supported, but you just can't press that with Nintendo. And for some reason, a lot of people seem okay with it, and I just don't really get why.
Yeah, I think it's that, like, oh yeah, their online sucks, but haha, it's Nintendo, so whatever. Like, is definitely a thing. Like, it shouldn't be as hard as they make it to like make a functional online ecosystem.
To be clear, I'm not like giving them a pass for the stuff in the story mode or for their mishandling of various services. It's the difference.
No, I know, but I think a lot of people do.
It's the difference between ignorance and maliciousness, which I don't think, at the end of the day, exonerates anybody, but it makes me more hopeful that they could get it right, because they haven't been like going super hard the other direction for so long. Like they like the stories I've heard, I mean, to get away from specifically the writing in Mario Maker 2 and talk more about like their online services stuff, the stories I have heard from like in reported pieces or just some random person posting on social media about like they work for some third-party company brought in to consult or to help out with something, or they were working with like a third-party developer and they go into meetings with Nintendo, and whereas like Microsoft and Sony are constantly watching what the other one is doing, the impression I have had for at least a decade is that Nintendo really doesn't.
Well, they definitely do, but it doesn't like affect they're gonna still, they're not acting in response to anything else. They're gonna do whatever they think is right.
I mean, like, there's a part of me that's sort of like, I'm still, like, I still bought Mario Maker 2 and I'm gonna play it and like engage with that because at some level I think I want Nintendo to
engage
make
with problematic shit all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like, yeah, like it's the sort of thing with Persona 2, right? Where it's like, I still played through most of the game in spite of those things, which absolutely should not be given a pass. And like Atlas infuriatingly went on to prove exactly why those things should not be given a pass with their next game release. So yeah, it's sort. I think like the frustration for me is sort of like, if Nintendo's gonna do this stuff, like at least do it in the games I'm not gonna buy and like love, and which is terrible. Like they shouldn't be given a pass, and it's like frustrating because more and more these days there are like so many games for which I don't want to give a company a pass, but there's a frustration because I feel so powerless in the face of like these types of writing decisions, right?
This rolling through the fire sword is not working. I'm getting hit every single time.
No,
so
you've
I'm
had
not gonna do that.
Multiple attempts where you've gone through it just fine, but you figure out what works for you. But
run around it.
I mean, I ran right once and it was fine because it's super slow moving, so I just do that.
Yeah, it depends on the positioning, but if you can get the timing down, that works no matter what your positioning is. Because he sweeps. It's something like, it's more than 180. It feels like a 230 or something. And he will go into that attack sometimes, and you cannot get around him. Like he went through. Yeah, like you're doing dodges through the big sword in this phase.
But that's their like fast attacks. The problem with the slow attack is if I start my dodge a little too early, then I get hit on the other end of it.
Yeah, so have a
So-
little patience. But no, if you have something that's working for you, absolutely go for it.
The other thing about Nintendo that I'm thinking of is like there have been issues with Nintendo in the past, like recently, and they don't get brought up in context of the other, like when we talk about big problematic game companies, like for whatever reason they have like the family friendly like vibe.
Well, I mean, they caved to like Gamergate pressure against, and fired somebody.
That's
for
exactly
bullshit
what I was
reasons. So,
thinking
like,
of.
Yeah, like,
no, I thought of that earlier too.
Like,
I don't remember her name, but
well, I can
yeah.
remember her name. I don't feel the need to say it on this show.
Yeah, that's
fair,
that's
yeah.
totally
that
fair.
incident did happen though.
Yeah.
And as
And
such
that's-
things go, she kept getting harassed for years afterwards.
Yeah, and that sucks and is awful, but like we don't like that should be something that is maybe talked about in the same way we talk about Riot.
So
But-
that instance
Or like,
is that
ArenaNet.
instance is one where
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really am angry at Nintendo in a way that like tone deaf writing doesn't really get there.
Oh, yeah,
like it
it
doesn't
doesn't
deserve a
get-
pass,
yeah.
but I am much angrier about them like throwing an employee to the wolves, basically.
Oh yeah.
Like than I ever
I'm
would
with
be
you.
about some story mode writing in one game that could use a bit more work.
For sure. Yeah, that was something that I was thinking about, and I wasn't sure if I even wanted to bring it up. So, and like, it's definitely stuck with me through the years. Like, that was like, 3-4 years ago now. So it's not super fresh in a lot of people's minds, I think. And
Yeah.
but I think that like, it's still important to remember that stuff has happened.
It's the type of thing that should be like it should be the type of thing that like is included in every article about Nintendo, but that's just not what the world is, and that is a bummer.
I think that there's like a similarity for me between Nintendo and a company like Apple, where they enjoy some degree of like diplomatic immunity and conversation because their markets are so niche and somewhat sacred in those niches that the criticism is sort of ignored in favor of how good the other parts of their products are, right? Like,
Did it?
People love Apple products for certain accessibility features, and in a way that they like will not so fervently favor like an Android product that does those things. Like, I don't know. I'm not explaining this well, but like hopefully you kind of get.
No, I know what you mean. Like they're the sacred
It's
cow
very-
kind of companies.
It's very much how like part of capitalism's hold is how somehow companies have figured out how to like trick people into thinking that they are their friends and that they should like be like fans of a company or like have some sort of affinity, and when like no, they don't give a shit about us.
Yeah.
They see us as money that they can take, and that's it. And
Yeah,
so like
I mean,
it's all part of the
it's-
marketing strategy to be this like really approachable, friendly
It's
company.
like an extension of the kind of. I feel like I'm probably getting it wrong calling it the like postmodern mindset, but like the idea that you define yourself by the things you like in terms of like movies and games and stuff like that. We definitely see this in like on the
I read a super depressing article on the way into work this morning about fans of Marvel movies getting real sad about Endgame not managing to make more money than Avatar.
What?
Like, oh yeah.
ugh,
Oh,
That's
oh my god.
But
Like, I
Sucks.
understand the perspective that's like, Avatar should not be the highest grossing film of all time, but at the same time, like, whatever, like, don't...
who fucking cares?
Maybe no film should be, right? Like,
Yeah.
maybe this isn't the meaningful way to
But-
measure culture.
But like it just like so. Just to finish the thought, I was on like the it feels like a very high school kind of feeling for me to define myself by what I was liking at the time, and I think that because of social media, like brands have
I mean, it's good to feel validated, right?
figured
like,
out how to
is-
monetize that.
You
in a
want
way.
to like feel like, oh well, I have good taste because people who I like and respect or whatever like the same things, and thus, you know, I have good taste, and that doesn't necessarily need to be true or should be true, but it's like very hard to not feel that, right? So it's understandable. We've gotten really into the weeds here with this conversation, but it's been a good chat.
I would say, you know, for as much as it's been a more serious conversation, this maybe has advantages over yelling at each other about ranch dressing for 2 hours.
You know, we're versatile fucking people, so we can find
You
yourself
contain multitudes, and some of those multitudes are ranch
find yourself
dressing.
someone who can do both. Basically.
Find someone who can do this while playing this game, because it's not me. I keep losing my focus and dying on this boss. And I'm out of stamina. Oh, I need
I've
stamina
noticed.
so bad.
I just did. I had let 4 deaths stack up, so I just did 30
Oh fuck no!
toe
I
lifts
just
and
the
20
extra attack
sit-ups.
is just such
Oh my
a
God.
fuck you. It's literally the same exact pattern, but
Toe
then
lifts?
sometimes
Like, what's the one, the calf exercise? The one where you
calf
go,
raises.
Yes, thank you.
I guess
You lift
yeah.
yourself up
Isn't-
on your toes.
Well, no, you're not
right?
lifting your toes. Yeah, you're
You're
not
on your
lifting your toes.
No, you're
don't-
you're going up
lifting-
to on top of your toes.
Yeah.
They're lifting their toe hose.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Peregrine, if you really want a little extra exercise out of that, you know, hold your last calf raise for a good 10, 20 seconds.
You're on. I'll do that for this one.
Okay.
20 seconds. Right?
Yeah. Good luck.
20 seconds is a long time.
5,
Jeez.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, it's not so bad.
All right.
20. All right. I'm sure if I had like done a set of 10 first. Then
Well, that's what you're supposed to do, like
Okay, fine. Okay, let me
20
do-
of them, and then hold the last one.
Okay. Well, I had just done third. Next time.
Don't worry, I'm gonna die again here in like 20 seconds. So.
Not. Listen.
Have
You
a
could.
little faith in yourself. You've
I
gotten
know we
to
didn't
this
put any
point.
points into faith, but that's no excuse. Remember what I said about my one piece of advice? Part of the one piece advice is to have faith in your friends, but also in your own abilities. But as the One Piece song goes, dreaming, don't give it up, Niko.
Speaking of having
Yeah,
faith in your friends and your own abilities, why don't we hard pivot to Evangelion?
Oh my god. I was gonna say, I never even talked about the... I played games for once, and I didn't even talk about any of it.
We can talk about those too.
No, but I want to hear Peregrine talk about games because I haven't watched a single second of Evangelion. So
Why haven't
Oh,
you?
okay.
Are you going to?
Wait, Mo.
Because eventually.
Because you don't like the prescriptivism of media consumption that modern culture demands?
Listen, time is fucking luxury, and sometimes I don't have it to watch an anime. I listen to the podcast, but I haven't watched the show yet, so, you know.
Oh, I am very glad that I like rewatched those episodes before listening to that podcast because, well, okay, we'll get there eventually. But I will say that for anyone who's been on the fence about like rewatching Evangelion, if you watched it when it aired on Adult Swim, please do, because now that I am like Misato age, that show is a very different experience than when I was 14.
I am looking forward to getting to it. I'm still like 2 episodes into the rewatch because I put everything on hold for speed runs for a week, and I'm still in kind of the hangover of that as we record this. But we have a long weekend.
Yeah,
we have a long weekend coming in the U.S., and there will be plenty of time for anime.
I basically recommended Evangelion to a bunch of people after I started rewatching it because I think like I didn't appreciate when I was younger how good just the craft of it is, right? Like I was anticipating that it would just be like problematic.
I thought I was dead.
And wouldn't have aged well.
You're all right. You're all right.
It really does some things really well. Speaking of things that are old and revisiting them, God damn it. I had Bloodstained this week.
So close.
And I'm gonna do some Tohos for a bit, but I'll be back to talk more about that experience.
Okay.
I think it's time for me to admit that even though I was not the one playing the game, I was so wrapped up in that fight that I did not hear like the last 20 seconds or 30 seconds of what Peregrine said.
I was clenching that whole time.
Whoever does.
If you can get to 98%, you can get to 100%. So you've been handling.
Well, you can't beat 100%, so.
All right.
You've been handling the bullet hell attack very well. So.
Yeah, I feel like I have the second phase downloaded now, so it was just a matter of like realizing that he doesn't actually keep all of his moves in that phase, and just like getting the timing of the dodges down.
Yeah, and part of the thing that attempt was that even if you got like greedy and took 2 swings, that wouldn't have been enough damage. You were like 4 or maybe 5 hits away, instead of it being like 2 or 3, and so there was like an opening or 2 where you made absolutely the right call to heal instead of taking the damage. But
That's a good workout.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to remember that. This is the first episode, I think, since we've started recording where I've been tired enough at the start that I've gone from like push-ups to ab exercises to leg exercises because I just keep like getting so fatigued. This is what I get for being like, yeah, let's move on from Smelter Demon. The next thing certainly can't be
who
as
is
difficult.
occasionally considered the... I would say
Forgetting to
Fume
heal.
Knight gets listed up pretty high on hardest fights in the game.
Well,
for
now
most
that I
people.
see the name of this boss, I've heard about Fume Knight as like one of the hardest. So like, as I called it earlier, the monkey's paw finger has curled on my desire to try a different boss.
Well,
What are
we
what are
almost
y'all's favorite colors?
Blue, purple, and light blue, the colors of Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, a game by Igarashi and company.
That game's really hard.
Wait, what?
I heard there's.
Bloodstained?
I heard you get to cook pizza in that game, and make biscotti.
You get to make... Okay. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is a goofy-ass game. That's like my official review.
I'm having trouble getting off the boat. Not to be too friends at the table.
Wait,
Boat party.
Mo, that's the... Alright, okay, I can help you because the thing that I'm realizing about this game is I played so many Igavania games that, like,
You did
there are things-
randomizers of those games.
So here's the thing. I got to a point in college where, like, I was playing things like StarCraft without having, like, been raised on them, and so, like, I didn't think I was good at video games, right? Like, and I still don't really think I'm good at games.
You play Toho. Excuse me, I was yawning. You play Toho.
But, like, I played on,
Of course
like,
you're good at it.
normal difficulty, right? Like, there's always going to be the community that, like, doesn't think I'm good at those things. But then I also remember that I can, like, beat a Link to the Past randomizer run in, like, under 2.5 hours on a good day. So, like, I can do well at certain games, and, like, Igavanias have a, like, mechanical feel to them that I intuit at this point that I'm realizing no one else has any reason to, like, intuit, right? Because another person in
I love
like a
his
mod
block
chat,
posture, by the way, a few nights. He just kind of holds up his big door of a sword.
adored a big dord a Dumbledore. So the other person in this chat was complaining that, like, in Bloodstained, as in most Igavanias, there's not a, like, knockback is not a given if an enemy's hitbox overlaps with yours.
Yeah,
Which
that's
can make it-
something that's...
So you can get, like, stun, like, if you don't know a proper response, like, you can get stun locked pretty easily, especially in the early game when your, like, damage output isn't necessarily that high.
Yeah, it feels bad.
Which I, like, disagree only because I'm used to it, right?
Yeah.
I think it does, but it also, like, once you kind of know the set responses or, like, are comfortable with...
Could the fucking
so the thing
Estes
that
animation
annoyed me
take
just-
any longer in this game?
That
So-
one was not your fault.
The thing that
I'm using
annoyed me
squats.
in when I was playing the like tutorial level or whatever, the first level, was like I'm assuming that, like, you walk to the right, so you're in a room and you can go down or you can go to the right. I'm assuming going down gets you to a save couch or whatever the fuck. I didn't go down. I went to the right. So I just got smoked by this boss. And then had to do, like, the whole level again and haven't been able to get back there. And it
Wait,
just...
did you just run to the... You just went right the whole way and went to the boss?
No, I explored everything I could explore. But there was, like, is there not a bench right near...
There are, like, multiple benches in the boat.
Yeah, I think I got all but the last one that's right next to the boss. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
We are gonna have a
I mean, that's
good
like a-
time when you go back to Hollow Knight.
So I will say this, right? Like that is a state that is in Dark Souls, right? Like that mechanic in particular is not unique to.
No,
to
it's
this
different
game.
in Dark Souls because you're making a more educated decision versus, like, basically gambling. Do I go right or do I go down? Like, there are fog walls in Dark Souls.
Well,
for the
there's a
most
door
part.
in. The boss doors in Bloodstained look different from other doors,
Well, I haven't played enough to know that yet.
and you know from the tutorial, right? But I'm gonna just say that the first time you see a fog wall in Dark Souls, it's not a boss door. Or, like, it's not... Dark Souls 1 is not consistent about what fog walls mean. Nearly the same way that Bloodstained is consistent with what boss doors mean.
Well,
So I'm gonna say that that's a...
Fog walls in Dark Souls just mean that the game engine required them to hide a load
Right.
in there because the boss enemies have too complicated an AI for them to have too much other stuff loaded in. But
So
they
I'm
do
gonna
it,
say
they do it in the middle of levels to
Well,
cover a
okay.
similar path.
I made a blanket statement. I don't need to get dragged anymore. What I will say is that Bloodstained feels weird to me, and I would like to be a part of the zeitgeist, but I don't know that I will.
It like with Dark Souls, my advice is to try all of the weapons out and find one you like the feel
until you're
of.
so powerful.
So I will
Level
say,
100.
in Igavanias, grinding is a fun activity. At least the way that I like to play those games often does involve grinding like a particular skill set to be very efficient, because Iga himself is like very adamant that it should feel good to cut through enemies like a hot knife through butter. And
that's
the game
interesting.
takes time. The game takes time to get there, but once it does, there's nothing else quite like it. Like it's fundamentally different from Hollow Knight or Dead Cells or like a lot of other like modern Metroidvania style games in that regard, because it's not as concerned about like balancing.
I have to say, I wish it was a little bit more like Dead Cells.
And that's fine, and I think I can recognize that in many ways Dead Cells is designed better, but I also don't like how I don't enjoy a lot of things about Dead Cells because I like Igavanias.
That's fair. I would like Dead Cells in a giant castle with a really I don't want to do a value judgment, so let's say expansive story. I would enjoy that, but yeah, since I'm saving Hollow Knight, I'm gonna be getting into Bloodstained a little bit in the next month or two, so we'll see how it goes.
I have some bad news for you about grinding in Hollow Knight.
What about it?
You can't.
There really isn't any.
Well, but yeah, the thing that fixes that is that I have you to tell me the things to do to make myself good at the game.
True.
I am just very happy to say for once to Mo that I have spent hours grinding in Bloodstained, which is very off-brand for me, but if I enjoy it as much as I do, I imagine Mo will have some fun with it.
That's good.
I think I mentioned that I'm playing the horny anime build of Bloodstained, which, while I'm embarrassed about, it also just is, incredible that I can even do that as, a concept in that game.
What does that mean exactly?
There's a particular ability, and you'll know it when you find it, but it is... It's the horny anime ability, but it's incredibly powerful if you spend time to grind it up, and it's a very valid strategy for defeating a couple types of bosses because of a particular exploit that the thing with Igavanias is there's always the ability and the very high chance that you'll stumble into something entirely broken, but it broken in a way that is fun to realize, and you can basically choose to play the game with or without it at that point.
Well, that's cool.
But Vinny did this in the Symphony of the Night run that they did on Giant Bomb. He by chance found the completely broken this holding out this shield with these conditions will heal you and deal the maximum damage numbers to the enemy, and it's goofy as hell, but it is one of the only attainable methods for defeating a couple of the challenge bosses, and it gives you that option, right? If you don't want to put up with the crap of beating a boss that is in many ways unfair, you have that perfectly legitimate
I don't want to put
road.
up with
And
crap.
I love that, right? It gives you that option, right? If you're sick of it, you can always do that. But in those games in particular, it feels designed in a way that I often think it doesn't in other games.
There's no shield rod
To
in
put
the
it
bug
another
game.
way, yeah, no, Hollow Knight would not do that, right? It wouldn't fit that game and its atmosphere, but because Bloodstained and those Castlevania games always have goofy Easter eggs, it just feels par for the course that yeah, of course an enemy has a random chance to drop the most powerful weapon, which like you oftentimes don't even think to use because you have so many options that work that you don't need to.
That sword.
It's just
That-
it's
I-
frustrating
I-
how often I get globaled from full health, basically. Like, other than like I don't
Is
know
it worth
if
going?
even having.
Is it worth going
What?
human to give you that last like?
I
quarter
have
or
done that
less?
several times. I've been doing that whenever my health gets low enough that it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a tough boy. I can never decide if this is the hardest fight in this DLC or if there's one other one.
Just what Niko wants to hear.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got the
And
Smelter
that other
Demon.
one is not.
The other one is
Smelter
not
Demon.
the Smelter Demon, no.
I hate this. I'm glad. You know what? It's a good thing I didn't finish this.
I will say the other fight is also my favorite fight in the game, even if it's a real asshole.
Well, okay.
Is it
that
who I
does
think
change
it is?
DM me what you think it is.
Vin Diesel in The Fate of the Furious?
Well, he's wearing a helmet, so who could say what's in there?
I choose to believe what I want to believe. Speaking of horny anime builds, I've also been playing a bunch of Muse Dash, which I wish was less horny so that I could recommend it to more people, but the reality of it is that it is, but you can ignore a lot of it. If you have a high tolerance for that bullshit, which I do because I play Fate Grand Order, and the music in that game is incredible. And like it is so fun to just play, and I love it.
Yeah, Muse Dash is a lot of fun. I also wish it was less horny.
Like it's bad horror. Like it's not even just like, ugh, God. It goes the extra like Newgrounds Flash horny
in terms what in
way.
What, in the character design stuff.
Like in the like, oh, here's like CG images to unlock, right? Like,
Oh.
Ooh.
like you know, like it's that kind
I
of.
dislike that.
Yeah. But like you could, but like you don't. You don't have to look at any of
Yeah,
it, right?
that's
Like that's
the thing that
right?
I
like.
like.
You can
But you know
basically just
people
ignore
are
it.
looking at it, and that someone.
Definitely. But
I don't know. I mean, I guess like I shouldn't.
No, I mean like I look at it because I know it's there, and like I have like if a game gives me a thing to unlock,
I
have
haven't
that like
engaged with
compulsion.
any of that, and I have really enjoyed the time that I've been playing Muse Dash. It's one of the only rhythm games that I've like really like A, that I've like gotten an S rank in, and B, that I've actually like had fun playing and like got into a
Right.
zone playing. So if I can just like the character designs are like pretty freaking horny in their own right.
But like the in game, like the actual rhythm game, like art design and everything, I actually really like.
It's not
like the
horny at
enemies
all,
and stuff like
yeah.
that are not horny,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So that's the thing, right? It's just like if you go into certain sub venues, you'll see it,
Yeah.
but if you don't touch the sub
Yeah.
venues, it's not there.
And that's why it's working for me. Is because I'm just
Right.
going
Like-
around the song wheel, like trying to get.
I mean, I had to like a similar experience with when I was playing one of the I think it's the most recent Shantae game a couple months ago, and just like knowing that like those games are horny as hell, and a lot
Yeah.
of people who play them are horny as hell, and like there are things to enjoy that are not the fan service, and like honestly, this one I think this was Half Genie Hero didn't really even seem like that bad in those respects. So.
Yeah.
like
There were
it's
there were
one of those
definitely
things too
far
where like
more
I say
explicit
this as
things
someone
in
who is
the
very
previous one.
like I grew up with a lot of that. I'm like used to it in things like Fate Grand Order, to compare and contrast a bit, like it puts a lot of the horny as part of like making your characters stronger, which you need to do to progress in the game. So in that way, like a game like that is way harder to
Gotcha.
ignore those angles in, right? So like, I'm probably being a little too like, listen, please don't, if you are interested in this game, please don't judge me too hard. That's really all I'm asking here. That's like what this is, right? Like,
Well, I mean, like, this level of 40 exists in a lot of things. And if this game, like, for me, like, this game resonates with me mechanically a lot. And it gives me the,
Right.
and it doesn't, like, put the horny in my face. So, like, if this game also wants to be that thing for, like, the people who want it to be that thing, like, not great, but like I also like.
You're gonna have a time with Evangelion, Mo.
well, yeah, I was just gonna say, like, this is the thing, right? Like, part of this is like, but
Oh,
like the
that's
difference
bullshit.
is it has more of a purpose in Ava than it does. Well, apart from the fact where like within the original Evangelion show, I think the argument can be made that there's like a very pointed use of these things that I'm going to be very curious to see if that holds up in my mind the way that it, like, my memory of it does, right? But then you look at like all of the merchandising that happened after that, and as I mentioned last episode, like that does not, like that is bad.
I mean,
that is just like
The
real
first couple
rough to
episodes
me.
after Asuka shows up are real. They go real hard on that stuff, and like in a way that is uncomfortable, and like knowing probably there are fans out there who like were like super into that, despite her age, and yeah, that's. I mean, there's a whole thing there too with like, not to get too into it, but I find it kind of odd how she shows up and is like super gung-ho about being an Ava pilot and like wants to be doing stuff by herself, and like after Shinji just went through this entire arc of I don't really want to do this, I want to leave, but actually I'm going to stay because I think it's important, but I'm still not going to like it. And then she shows up and is like super competitive and gung-ho about it, and it almost feels like now he feels like he has to compete with her. And I think that there are a variety of different things that could be saying, and I can't place my finger on what the show is actually trying to say versus what is my read of that. I feel like it hasn't really explored the fact that like it should really fuck him up how much like someone actually wants to do this thing that he absolutely hates doing.
And I think the show will attempt to deal with those things. I am curious to know if I will find them successful, because I know enough about what's happening that my read on it now is going to be very different than it was when I was like 14 and didn't understand like what queer meant, right? Like I didn't know what like what the spectrum of like complicated, as Danielle said on the Waypoint podcast, this like what is happening with gender in this show is like a bigger question to me now than it ever would have been when I like was too young to know that there were options, right?
For sure. And I appreciate that like it's willing to like, oops, that was not a good time to kill. It's willing to. I keep getting distracted by my bloodstain. I don't know why I bother, because it's always 0. I appreciate that it's willing to get a little bit messy, even if it doesn't always pull it off, because I think that definitely was rare in the 90s, and like I think that it's good to have stuff out there that like gives people things to think about and question their own sexuality and gender and things. So I don't necessarily know if it will be that for people now, but certainly I've heard enough testimonials from other people that like it was that for them in the 90s, and that's really cool to hear. So
well, and I think it's incredible to me that it can have those things in addition to being like even by modern standards, a very interesting and damning look at like military-industrial complex bullshit. You know, like there's other things it's doing on top of that I do think it is successful with, and like I don't know. This is part of why I've started like actually recommending people check out just those first 2 episodes to see if it resonates with them at all, because like they make such a powerful impression as like an opening scene in a way that I didn't appreciate, because I watched this thing like disjointed on Adult Swim, you know, back whenever it aired, and like, you know, I saw the middle couple of episodes before seeing like the end. You know, it was not a work in the way that I think it was intended to be back when I first saw it. So yeah, I don't know. Not to get too into it, but
Sure. Yeah. I also didn't really talk much about Persona, but I think we can save that for another time. I can get a little bit further in the game. I have a lot of
I think you
thoughts
should
about
like
Yusuke, and but like I think that he's only really shown up maybe like 5 to 8 hours before where I am now, so I haven't quite spent enough time to figure out where I stand with him.
I will say that like it will be, if you're willing to stick with the game, I think it'll be more interesting to have that discussion after you have more time with that character, because there's a number of ways people choose to read it that I think need a little more context than just those opening moments. Because I don't think anyone would disagree that like those opening moments are anything but like the shittiest way to present his character, right? Like,
Absolutely.
I don't think anyone was happy with them.
Niko, you've been playing Observer recently.
Yes, actually, that's another game that I've been
how is
dipping my
that?
toes into. Fucking scary.
That's what I've heard.
I was not expecting it to be.
Cool.
as-
I don't need to play it then. Thank you
Yeah.
for crossing that off my list. I'll
It's
just
got
slide
a
Ori and
really-
the Blind Forest in that slot.
Oh
there's
yes,
nothing
that's
freaky
an
in
excellent
that game.
game. That is one of my favorite games of all time, actually. So I hope you enjoy it. Yeah, Observer is. It's got a really cool look to it, but also it is a nightmare, and so I can only play it for like an hour at a time before I'm like, okay, I'm done.
I get the impression that I would be really into it, but I'm not sure that I'll ever get around to it.
I haven't played Ori and the Blind Forest yet, now that that's come up.
You should play that game.
You should do it. Yeah.
I have a number of like Metroidvanias that I think maybe the Bloodstained experience.
Just to set expectations appropriately, I don't think it's particularly good in the sense of like as a Metroidvania map design. It's a very beautiful game and it feels amazing to play, but there's not like really good interconnectedness of the world and like backtracking for a reason other than getting all of the collectible health increasing items and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So
it's more of a Shadow of the Colossus kind of.
That's the weird pull.
Sorry, that's the only thing I could think. When someone just says like, "Oh, there's health collectibles," I'm just like, "Oh, like those things I never got in
No,
Shadow of the Colossus."
it's not like the lizards in Shadow of the Colossus. It's that I think the Iga games I've played have a very particular flair to their map layout. Like, forget aesthetics, just like the collision geometry that a player interacts with. And I think Hollow Knight has its own sensibility, and I think these games have their own sensibility in a 3D way. And I don't think Ori is quite at that level. Ori has other things going for it. It's gorgeous as hell. The platforming is really, really good. But it's the construction of the world is a thing I hope they...
Oh, that's what that does.
Oh, did you burn one in the fire instead of using it?
I want it, yeah.
We've got plenty.
Yes, I have enough.
But it's hard to describe without getting like there's not even a frame of reference I could give it really.
It's
like,
always looked like it's going to be like the platforming challenges of Hollow Knight more than it is the like combat encounters of Hollow Knight, right?
Yeah, there's
okay.
Yeah, and it's. I feel like it would take a Game Maker Toolkit YouTube video to break down what, like that kind of level of research to sort of articulate what I'm trying to get at.
I guess like what I would say is there are certain elements to like what makes a Metroidvania, and that like on top of a game that is just a 2D platformer with collectibles and traversal in like both side to side and up and down. So and like I think that like Ori has those things, but it doesn't necessarily have the like non-linearity that you might expect from a Metroidvania, or the interconnectedness, or
right,
or the like. There are some cases where there's like an upgrade that you need that, like, I guess that's maybe why people will say it's like a Metroidvania, because there's definitely the like, you need this particular upgrade in order to get through this like barrier in order to get this
so
item.
It's like a Dark Souls 3 is what you're telling me.
I want to say yes, but I know you mean that as a bad thing.
I actually really like Dark Souls 3, so that's not actually a bad thing for me. Because it has the I get what you mean when you say that that's a linearity, even if it strictly isn't. Right?
They feel like the areas in that game feel like levels that happen to have like connecting tunnels, and less like a cohesive, interconnected world that is all one place.
Right. Sure. That's true of some Igavanias too, actually. Like Order of Ecclesia was very much that way.
That's not one of the ones I've played.
Because that had like set levels that you went into, right? Portrait of Ruin also had like portrait worlds, which like themselves were like mini versions of that interconnectedness, but they were still like a single place that didn't, like there was a warp gate to get into and out of them, but there wasn't like a sense of broader context. So yeah, no, I think this is one of those things where I do think the like Metroidvania like designator doesn't always.
I really do think you would like Ori a lot.
Is Super Mario Maker a Metroidvania?
The way that I want to build levels, yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say like some of them like for the first one, Narcissa Wright made a bunch of levels that were kind of puzzle mazes, but not in the like asshole Dan Reichert way. And you could sort of say that those do have a little bit of that.
I like straight up the one level that I made that I was really proud of and Nintendo took down. God damn it, Nintendo. Involved like a straight up. I like ripped off Igavania design for like a spike bridge to a hidden area to like get a power up that made like the latter half of the level much easier. And like I took care to like make sure I could beat it without that power up, but like it would have been, I don't know, like to me that's the thing I'm interested in doing with Mario Maker, because it's something that rarely comes up in Mario games writ large, because you can like store power-ups between levels and like, right, so like having it as a discrete unit where like there are multiple paths, some of which will make the game easier but may require a little extra digging.
Come on, come on!
Interested in that.
Fucking die!
What it do, baby?
Oh, you tried to throw
Oh,
that
God.
away in the last 5 seconds. But
I
the
know,
game
I didn't
gave it
notice
to
that I had
you.
no
God.
stamina.
But up until
panic setting was
that last
terrifying.
5 seconds where you were mashing on the button, that was very, very good. That was great.
The last
I
5
my
think
seconds
God,
the
were
we
entire
good,
actually
too.
fight
beat a
was
boss!
good. We beat a boss.
You
I
did
can,
it. That was.
like, we can just
that
end
was-
it right here.
That was it. Good
Okay.
job.
Get your 0 souls.
Oh,
let's go
hey.
see
Monkey's paw
let's-
has uncurled.
Yeah, let's go see what's through here.
Probably friends. You know.
That looks like a friend.
It's a
Crown of the Old Iron
crown.
Wait, that's the
Heatlinger's name.
Mm-hmm.
that's the crown? Shouldn't that be, you know, not here?
It's the Old Iron King. Crown of the Old Iron King who once ruled this land. The king sunk below the scorching iron, met the one whose name must never be repeated, and became Icarus Earth. But
Oh,
these
Voldemort.
were events of long ago, and today no one even remembers the king's name.
God damn it.
It's Voldemort.
Would
Damn
you
it.
stop with the Harry Potter references?
But it
damn
says
it.
it's the name. It's right there in the text. That's the literal.
I like the phrase Icarus Earth to mean lava.
Flew too close to that sun.
I also
That's why
realized
they call it Icarus.
I'm not mad. I'm just annoyed.
You also realized what?
Okay, that's why. Because I was like, all of my rolls and my movement just were feeling slow, and it's because I had put this shield on for some reason at some point in my left hand.
Wow.
That I wasn't
What a
using.
bad idea.
Yeah, shields are terrible. Fuck shields.
If you used it,
You would have
Wow.
gotten cut through.
Yeah,
like,
would I have
you
been
being
able
a
to
hot
use
knife
it on
through
this fight?
Yeah,
Be serious,
Fume
Mo.
Knight, maybe not shield time.
Did you see the flames?
All right, am I good here? Am I good to get out of here? Leave?
Yeah.
Without having to fight those boys?
Yeah, you can feather out instead of running past the large boys.
Yeah. I need to go stock
should-
some life gems.
Yeah, we should go buy a bunch of life gems.
Been
we
chomping down
are-
on those.
We are technically speaking done with the DLC, but there is a thing that we have not checked out.
Okay.
Well, and there's the
that is-
Smelter
that is
Demon.
not the
Yeah.
Smelter Demon.
Oh wait, no, I'm gonna go buy first.
I thought you were gonna run off that ledge, and I was gonna scream.
Oh, that'd be so funny.
Oh my god. Have you even been using the Radiant ones?
No,
have
but I don't have that many of them. I've got 37.
Yeah, we don't have
God.
that many.
I don't. Well, I don't have it. Oh,
We can afford
like
60 of them.
I don't have an unlimited source though. Like once I buy these, I can't get more.
Oh, she only has
Without
the 7,
farming.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Whereas
Capitalism
regular life
ruins
gems, I can just-
everything.
I'm pretty sure there's somebody who sells more, but I would have to look it up. Let's we have a few minutes left. Let's take our levels and see what the final optional part of the DLC is.
What's the zoomer? What type of zoomer doesn't use radiant life gems because they're a finite resource? What's the name? What do we call those ones?
what is Zoomer?
Mo, you need to not just listen to the podcasts about Evangelion. There is a whole universe for you to discover and enjoy.
In what?
Oh, is Mo the Dan Reichert of our show?
Wow.
I think Mo might be our Dan Reichert.
I mean, yes.
Yeah,
I think we
mean,
all
I
are.
take that. I take
Because
that as
you're
a compliment,
very
number
inquisitive and you ask questions for things that you. Oh,
Uh-oh.
okay.
One. I
great.
take that as
That
a
I don't literally don't
compliment.
care. Yeah, I mean, like
Completely.
this is the thing is like people give Dan shit for like asking questions, but honestly, like the reality is most of us are not asking questions, but like secretly pretending that we know stuff that we don't, and we're like, I'm gonna Google that later, and so like it's interesting when you find someone who like will ask a question like that, rather than going and
Since we're
saving face, I guess.
short on time, sorry. Let's
Yeah.
keep moving. You are correct, though. I completely agree.
Bearer until hope.
If
I was
Mo
just
is
watching,
the Dan Riker.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna do the bit where we're like, what are the rest of us?
Oh no.
I'm the poop hat.
What?
You know, the giant bomb east poop hat. Do you not?
So the final bonfire. Yep.
Let me go look up the item description for the giant bomb poop hat. Hold on.
I don't think that's an item in this game. The statue is glowing.
Oh right.
It wasn't doing this before. That's weird.
Oh damn! The giant bomb store has a headwear section, and I was hoping they'd have a reference to it, but they don't.
Ooh.
Whoa! What? Wait.
Uh-huh.
What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. Sorry.
Hi, hello.
What
Memory of
more-
the old Iron King.
Those are NPC signs on the floor, as you would guess from
Am I
the
still
fact
human
that we're
from
in
before?
offline mode.
Ooh,
Oh, we're in offline
oh my
mode.
god, my favorite type of transportation, the steel-wheeled lorry.
Like memories, you are on a clock here.
Okay.
That is the most anime name for a summon.
But once you get to the fog wall at the end of this area, you are no longer on.
Well,
You
I'm
are-
also on it. We're also on a timer in the sense that we only have like 10 minutes
Oh.
left in this episode. So
It's Mo's favorite asshole. Oh my god.
Well, you better get to running.
We thought they were extinct. But they're back, baby.
oh,
Oh my god. What a goofy friend. Oh, I kind of love this.
Oh, we've seen these lizard friends before.
Oh, totally. But like, I love that this is like putting them in this environment.
Oh yeah,
with
it's
these
just
knights,
this like
you know, like
completely arbitrary. Like why?
Like, of course they would exist in this area, right? Like, this is the lava place.
And that dude looked familiar as well.
yep, from
This
the Iron
this
Keep.
this area explores what I really want to get at with my Mario Maker levels, which is the origin of species, but for gamers.
Oh, totally. That makes sense.
Well, if you soak some Doritos in some Mountain Dew and then put it out in the sun,
Oh.
eventually you get a gamer.
Yeah, that's. I'm surprised you need the gamer recipe.
Is a gamer
I thought
a
that was
grass type?
forbidden
I've
knowledge.
taken like a biology course.
Did I do the Pokemon joke right?
I mean, you referenced a real Pokemon type,
There we go.
so. But the grass type is really more of a like Snoop Dogg type of figure, who is a gamer, so
Oh,
you know.
Oh, and you
Oh,
forget a
that's-
friend.
Oh yeah,
weren't
there's
supposed to
a
do
lot
that.
of friends in here.
Okay, well, this seems like a good thing to do next time, or maybe the time after that, depending on whether I do the Smelter Demon next. We'll see.
Oh no! Give me a week break.
Listen, I'm worried about forgetting the patterns now that it will be 2 weeks between attempts on that boss. So at least I beat a boss, but
You beat one of the hardest bosses in the game. Like Fume Knight is real shit.
yeah. And like
Yeah.
I think that there were some frustrating deaths on that boss, and there was like that one attempt where I almost got him, and I feel like I should have got that. I feel like that should have been it, and maybe he has like pretty high magic resistance or something, which is something we were talking in chat after last week's
No,
recording.
you were doing fantastic damage. Like that.
Okay,
No.
because that's definitely a problem that we're running into with the Smelter Demon, which is that both my magic spells and my magic sword are doing magic damage, and I don't have a high physical damage thing. Like the falchion was never really good, but it was at least doing physical damage, killing off my int. So, and I don't
Time
really want to
for-
respec again. No.
Oh.
Like I said, I mean, if you want to go upgrade and enchant a mace so that it scales off of in. Because strike damage will help a lot with.
Oh, he's like a skeleton.
Yeah, we can talk about that off mic, and see, and then whatever boss is at the end of that thing, which having now discovered the little tunnels you can run around behind the fire lizards, those seem like they're not too difficult to deal with as long as you don't get ambushed by things. Yeah.
And
cool.
I think the
well,
fight
I'm
is worth
glad to
it.
check off one of the more difficult bosses, at least. So,
And
getting
hey,
slowly marching
we
the
have
way
2
to
or
the
3
finish.
crowns.
Yeah. Cool.
Whoa, we're 2/3 there.
Hopefully we're more than that at this point.
Whoa.
I think we're gonna be done before 40 episodes. We'll see. It depends on how tough that last DLC is.
Oh boy.
Oh, no.
How do you feel about?
Wait,
Has the cold ever bothered you?
are we done with this DLC?
Technically speaking,
No, we still have the
yes.
Smelter Demon and the other thing.
We have
I mean, we've
optional
beaten it,
stuff
but-
left, but getting the crown means you've completed the DLC.
Okay.
We've done the Katy Perry hot, and we got to do the Katy Perry cold.
I would absolutely like us to do maybe Smelter, whatever, but the other boss, we should at least
I'm
say hello.
certainly gonna at least give it at least a few looks. Like as much as the Smelter Demon also is kind of frustrating at times. Like I'm not one to shy away from a challenge, and it's really mostly just that like the 2 hours a week format makes what would otherwise be a boss that I might sit down and like, okay, I'm just gonna focus on this boss. I don't care if it takes me 3-4 hours. I'm gonna beat it. Like there were definitely bosses in Sekiro that took me that long to beat. There were bosses in the Bloodborne DLC bosses. Like many of them took me 3 or 4 hours to beat. So I'm not new to that. It's just that like counting it in terms of episodes instead of just like hours feels worse, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and also I know that there are people who are watching along and hanging out, and it's not really that exciting or fun to just watch someone repeatedly die to the same boss. So, I was worried we weren't going to get the Fume Night done tonight, but
No, that's a big get.
Thank
Yeah.
God. Jesus. This one's for you.
You don't even know what's at the end of the memory.
Please do not. I am feeling okay for like the first episode in a while.
Yeah, well.
I mean, this
so
is
tired.
Savor this.
Peregrine,
Savor
this-
this oasis.
the difficulty curve of this game, the arc that you've gone through, right? This is just like everything you've been training for has been leading to this moment. Now this is the true test.
I will say, like, it's good for me. Like, I've been working up a sweat these past couple recordings.
Yeah,
like,
bad.
I need a shower.
I mean, same. For different reasons, though.
Who
Gotta
does
get
it?
the smell.
Who doesn't
Gotta
need a
get that
shower?
smell
I'm
turd.
I'm talking about the stress of fighting the boss. I don't know what you're talking about. All right. Well, that's about all the time we've got for today. Sparkletone, where can the people find you on the internet?
You can find me on Twitter as @Sparkletone and on the Waypoint Discord.
Peregrine.
You can watch my intelligence build over on Twitch TV/Peregrine38 and find my horny anime build over on Twitter @TerrificBra.
Mo.
It's at Mo Swords on Twitter. Mo_Swords on Twitter. And
It's not going to be Mo_S ranks.
no, not yet. I'm still getting there. And streaming at Waypoint Community.
Yeah.
Every now and then.
Right here on this channel.
Yep, this one.
And I'm your host, Niko. You can find me hanging out on the Waypoint Discord You can follow me on Twitter at Corey D. Shaw, and you can also find me living in an ever-loving nightmare playing Observer, I guess. Special thanks to Too Mellow for graciously allowing us to use his music. You can find the track Old Haunts and everything he does over at twomellowmakes.bandcamp.com. If you've missed any of our previous episodes, you can find them on my YouTube at bit.ly/Niko YouTube. Niko YouTube. It's on the screen. Yes, it is. We'll be back next week with more Dark Souls 2 right here on twitch.tv/Waypoint Communities at 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be fighting the Smelter Demon and another tough boss, I guess. So don't miss it. We hope to see you then. Thanks for watching.